during my test, my break-in drives, what's been happening is my ignition timing has been slipping, and since I had to adjust it a couple times, and I'm trying to zoom in on the distributor hold-on clamp, you can see there along the side of it. Let me see if I can hold this steady, and it's probably not going to happen. But along the side here, once I get my hand out of the way, there it is. That appears to be resting on the intake manifold. And this does not appear to be touching the distributor base. So tightened that down a couple times, readjusted the timing a couple times, and it keeps slipping. So I went and I bought another hold-on clamp at Summit Racing yesterday, and you can see that it has extensions on both sides, so that hopefully when this rides on the intake manifold, these will be pressing on the distributor base. So I'm going to go take the old one off, and then I'll show you a shot comparing the two of them, and then we'll time it, and hopefully it'll hold better. So I'm going to try to measure the distance that is between, and it may be hard to do because this isn't full all the way. Now there's a way to do this with that. I'm basically trying to measure the height of that pad. It's going to be hard to do because it's very small. Looks about 0.49, so that's 5/100ths of an inch. The new one that I'm going to attempt to put on, which by the way looks a lot bigger, measures 0.1020. So what's that? 5/100ths, 10/100ths, 5/100ths of an inch bigger on this side, and on the back side where it hits up against the manifold, .032 on the old one. .1275. So The new one is going to give me I think in total a little over 1/10 of an inch between the back side and the front side than this old one. So the first thing I'm going to do is the new one comes with a stud rather than a bolt, so I'm going to have to put the stud in, and I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on that before I put it in so it doesn't come out of the manifold. I'll do that off camera. So I go to put the stud in, and the stud looks to be same diameter, thread pitch appears to match, but because it's so long and where the wire's coming out of the distributor is, I'm having difficulty lining it up to thread it into the manifold. I may have to actually move the distributor and then reset it to top dead center in order to get this in. Oh well, you got to do what you got to do. Okay, I put a little piece of green frog tape on the damper where the timing marks are, and that 0 you see is not really 0, that's 10, and the end of that tape is at about 13.5, but that's to make it easier to see the timing marks whenever I'm putting a timing light on it, because on that black it really doesn't show up that well. So it is maybe a degree or two off on the timing, but that's going to be close enough that it'll start, and then I'll set the static timing to 15 degrees, and I will each of those little hash marks is 2 degrees, so 15 degrees is just between the 2 hash marks at the end of that tape, but that will allow me to see it. I got lucky on this as I was hitting the starter quickly to turn it over to get it near 0. I actually have ended up with the rotor pointed at the number 1 cylinder. So I will be able to move the body of the distributor, get my stud in, and then use my timing tool, and I will be a degree or 2 off, but that's okay, because when I set the static timing to 15 degrees and then rotate the distributor to bring it on to the 15 degree mark, it will be correct. So I've got the stud in without the thread locker, and I'm going to go around now, test fit this, make sure that it fits properly. Once I've determined that it fits and that I have enough thread left to put the nut on to tighten it down, then I will take that stud out, put some thread locker on it, and put it right back in. So that does fit on the stud, and it leaves enough room for the nut. See if I can get some light on that and see how much clearance I had to actually tighten that down. See if I can tell if there's clearance between the, probably getting in your way here. There is a small bit of clearance between the manifold and the hold down clamp. If that doesn't work, I may have to machine off a bit of that clamp. I wouldn't machine the manifold, but I'm going to remove that stud, put some thread locker on it, because I think one way or another I'm going to have to make this fit and work for me. Once you know it, first thing I do is drop the stud. That's what these magnetic pickups are good for. It went down on the engine block right at the top of the bell housing. And you know what? I bet you it's stainless and it's not going to be able to be picked up by the magnet. I was able to move it. I keep knocking it further down. That's not a good thing. Never goes right. I don't think it's really all that magnetic. It may be slightly magnetic. Not magnetic in itself, but attracted to the magnet. So I'm going to have to fish around in there until I figure out how to get it out. Well, as I always say on this channel, I show you the good, the bad, and the ugly, because things don't always go smoothly. So here goes attempt number 2 at installing the stud. I'm losing it again. There's not much room to work in there. Okay, got it started. Now it's a matter of just winding it down and giving it a little. There's a hex Allen head. In the top of this, and that will allow me to actually tighten it down a bit with an Allen wrench. It's amazing that little bit of thread locker on there, and it's a lot harder to screw it in. I was able to screw it all the way till it bottomed out with my fingers before I put the thread locker on it. And now with just that little thread locker, it is more difficult, but we'll get it. So since this is 3/8 of a turn at a time, I'm going to turn off the camera while I finish screwing it in. No sense in wasting your time. And then I'll be back when I tighten it down. Okay, so right up in there you can see the red hold-on clamp. I did back the stud out just a little bit to give myself better thread engagement on the hold-on nut. So I think we're good now. And I'm going to double check which of these wrenches are going to fit it. It's going to be the 9/16. This is a very cheap distributor wrench. I don't even know where I got it from, but it doesn't fit exceptionally well on the nuts. But it's good enough. It'll tighten it. I'm going to back that out a little bit more till I like the engagement. I'd like full engagement on the nut. There's plenty of stud done in the manifold. I don't want to make it too short though, because that is aluminum and I don't want to be pulling it out that much. So now that we've got that on, it's time to get the tool that they gave me with the Hyperspark distributor. Now, with any other distributor, that's not gonna be any good because it's made strictly for the Hyperspark. But basically what it does is fit over the rotor and allows you to turn the distributor body until the tool drops down, and then you know you're set. You can tighten it down. So try not to bump the camera too much while I'm doing this. Basically goes over the distributor, over the rotor, and you have to rotate the body until it drops down. Like that. Okay, now what I can do is while that's still on there, I'll go tighten down that hold down nut a little bit, and then I'll take that tool off and I'll time it to, I already have the sniper set for static 15 degrees timing. I'll set it for 15 degrees bolt it down solid. Hopefully it will stay, and I won't have any more problems with my timing walking away. Now I'm having difficulty, there it is. I was having difficulty getting the wrench on past the electrical fitting that goes into the distributor. Just for grins, I'm going to see if I can turn that body. That appears pretty tight. So I'm going to leave that wrench there so that when I adjust it, and I left my screwdriver on the other side, when I adjust it, if I have to loosen it up to adjust it, assuming it needs adjusted, I will already have the wrench on there. I'll be able to back it off, adjust it the little bit I think I need to adjust it, and then tighten her down again. I left the static timing adjusted at 15 degrees whenever I pulled it into the garage after realizing that it had slipped. So I will tighten down that other screw on the distributor cap, and I'll move some of the stuff I don't need off of the car before I start it. There's no chance that I'm going to be able to show you the timing marks while I'm doing this, but you'll just have to take my word for it that I'm getting it aligned right. about perfect. I think that's tight enough. I can shut off the engine. I'm going to tighten it some more. While the engine's off, I'll restart it and recheck to make sure I'm at 15 degrees. But I think we've got it, by Jove. And then I'll have to go back in and I'll have to set the handheld so that I put it back to the sniper system controlling the timing. I don't think they could have put that wire that goes into the distributor in a worse place. It's right above the hold down nut, and the stud is interfering with, actually the wire is interfering with getting the wrench on and off the nut that's on the stud. So I'm going to shut off the video while I play with that, because it's just going to be me trying to wrestle that wire out of the way and move the wrench on the nut. Okay, I'm going to try to show you this on the Sniper handheld. From the main menu, you go to tuning. Basic maybe. System, static timing. Uh-oh. It reset back to 1. So after all that, I'm wrong. I'm going to prove it, but if you click on that, then clear it because it wants to add the numbers you type after it. 15. I'm going to save that and I'm going to set it. So static timing should be set to 15 degrees. I may have to re-loosen that and time it all over again. The static timing shut off the ignition. That's bad news. Okay, so I've loosened it with the static timing set to 15 degrees. I'm going to adjust it to 15 degrees on the balance. at 7 degrees ignition timing. Oops. So I'm going to shut that off and tighten it down a little bit more. Maybe I'll do it in the reverse sequence. I'll tighten it down a little more, then shut it off, so it doesn't kick it if it's a little bit loose. So ignition timing tells me it's 7 degrees on the Sniper, and when I look at it on the flywheel, front flywheel, balancer, it's reading 7 degrees. So that should be it for that. Hopefully it's tight enough and it won't move. It appears as though it is, because whenever I was diagnosing it when it was running poorly, I was able to just reach up and I could turn that distributor without loosening anything. So I cannot do that anymore. So hopefully next time I drive it, all will work well and it will keep its timing. And after having this happen a couple times, I probably will go through the process of setting my static timing, checking it a couple times just to make sure that it hasn't slipped at all. So that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching.